councillors, officers, ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for prayers by the Imam, Arqam, Momaya. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Alif Lam Mim. This book, there is no doubt in it, is a guidance to those who guard against evil, those who believe in the unseen, and keep up the prayer and spend out of what we have given them, and who believe in that which has been sent down to thee and that which was sent down before thee, and they are sure of the hereafter. These are on guidance from the Lord, and these it is that shall be the successful ones. Thank you very much.
Good evening, councillors. We'll go on with the order of business and apologies for absence, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have apologies from councillors Dott, Haringey, Markham and Seaman Digby.
Thank you very much. Do we have any others? No? Okie doke. We'll go on to the minutes, please. Assuming you've all read them, are you all happy and approved? Thank you very much. Declarations of interest tonight? No? Brilliant. First of all, then it gives me the Mayor's announcements. First of all, I'd like to wish you all a happy 2019 and that you've all recovered from the Christmas lunches over the Christmas period. And it's also nice to see Councillor Curling back. Good evening. Sad news to start with, I'm afraid. Past Mayoress Elizabeth, or Lily Mears, who was the Mayoress for Mary O'Connor back in 2011-12, passed away in December 2018. And from what I remember, I think Councillor Yarrow and Mary both attended her funeral late that month. Good news. You may have seen the London New Year's Day Parade, or had to watch it. We came fourth out of 20 entrants, which is very good indeed, knowing that last year we used Encore as well, and we didn't finish last year. It meant that we had £5,000 added to the Mayor's charity, courtesy of the New Year's Day Parade. And yes, I did take part in it. You have to watch it again. As for the Christmas lunches, from November through to Christmas Day, I had 3. So I think I did very well over that. No, I didn't copy the Vicar of Dibley and have 4 on one day. Forthcoming events, you've all seen the Chinese-themed quiz night. Hopefully I will see a few of you attending that one on the 30th of Jan. The last event was very good, and I hope to see some of you again. I have my civic service on the 17th of February. Come along, come and see Northwood Hills. It's not that bad, you know. Finally, I am doing a marathon walk. It's all hard, all printed now. It's actually gone out in Hillingdon People as well. So on the 28th of March, I'm doing north of the borough, walking 13 miles. And then on the 29th, the following day, I'm walking another 13 miles, but in south of the borough. So come along and see parts of the borough that you possibly hadn't noticed, and how green it is. So thank you very much. Item 5, reports of the Head of Democratic Services. Councillor Puddifoot.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are 4 parts of this report, and I will move them each individually. The first part requests that Council note the use of urgency decisions implemented since the date of the last Council meeting, as listed on the Council agenda. I move the recommendation.
Seconder.
I formally second, Mr. Mayor, and reserve my right.
Thank you very much. Is that agreed? Agreed. Thank you very much. Item 2.
The second recommendation refers to the timetable of meetings for 2019-20 as set out in Appendix A, requesting that this is approved and that the Head of Democratic Services, in consultation with the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, be authorised to make any required amendments during the year. I move the recommendation.
A seconder, please.
I move, Mr. Mayor, and reserve my right.
Thank you very much. Is that agreed? Thank you. Next item.
The third part of the report is requesting Council agreement to some amendments to the Resident Services Scheme of Delegation relating to matters reported to planning committees. These are as detailed in the report and covered in recommendations A, B and C. I move recommendations A, B and C.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Simmons?
I formally second, Mr. Mayor, and reserve my right.
Thank you. Is that agreed? Thank you very much.
The final part of the report relates to the Local Government Boundary Commission review of electoral arrangements for this borough and updates members on progress of the review and outlines the next stages. The Commission's draft recommendations were published on the 8th of January and are now subject to a period of consultation which lasts until the 18th of March, and which again will be open to all interested parties within the borough to respond. The recommendations are: A, the warding arrangements as proposed by the Commission be noted; B, the Head of Democratic Services, in consultation with the Leader of the Council, be authorised to submit comments to the LGBCE proposals to the composition, size and name of the wards for the London Borough of Hillingdon from May 2022 onwards. I move the recommendations A and B.
Councillor Simmons?
Mr. Mayor, I formally second and reserve my right.
Thank you very much. Councillor Curling.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Some of the proposals in this, or some of the proposals that the administration put forward in their submission and the subsequent draft from the Boundary Commission reflect some of the Hillingdon Labour Party's first draft proposals, believe it or not. And at one stage we even had an Ickenham and Harefield Villages ward. However, we desperately tried to ensure that in our proposals no ward existed as some sort of sacrificial lamb in order to make the numbers fit. On this side of the chamber, we are saddened that there wasn't a cross-party approach taken to this, but we are where we are at the moment, and that is it. I'm sure every member of the party opposite will fully endorse the leader's proposals, so we're not moving any amendment to this item, but we're not supporting the B part of it, other than noting the Local Government Boundary Commission's draft proposals. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Curling. Any other speakers? Okay, Councillor. Okay, is that agreed then? Agreed. Thank you. takes us on to item agenda 6, Council Tax Base 2019-20. Is that Councillor Bianco?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the annual item that comes up at the meeting prior to council tax fixing, and it is a technical item which should need little input. There's the usual exciting calculation of how the council tax base is arrived at the bottom of page 21, and I'm more than happy to go through enormous detail if anyone would like. The good news, however, is to be found on page 22, which shows quite clearly a decent increase, a significant increase, 1,400 bandy equivalent homes in bringing into the council base in the coming year. And that's particularly good news because that means extra income for relatively nil work, so to speak. It's a good step forward for us. We've been lucky over the last few years that we have seen increases in the number of houses being developed in the borough, and this is reflected in the numbers that have built up here. And on that basis, I move the four recommendations shown on the top half of page 21.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bianco. Councillor Puddifoot.
I second the recommendations and reserve my right, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other speakers? No? Is that agreed? Thank you very much. We move on to Agenda 7, questions from members. The first one, 7.3. Councillor Brightman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Would the Cabinet Member please provide an update on the matter raised in the motion from Councillor Duncan at the meeting on the 22nd of November 2018, when it was suggested that the Council was acquiring properties for housing where this will evict tenants who are then made homeless?
Thank you very much. Councillor Corthorne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you also to Councillor Brightman. I am most grateful for your question, since I think it is important that there is a thread of continuity from one council meeting to the next. I say that particularly given the alarming nature of the suggestion as expressed in Councillor Duncan's motion on the 22nd of November, upon which members would naturally be seeking some reassurance. Accordingly, I undertook to investigate the matter, and having now done so, and having received some further information subsequently from Councillor Duncan over the course of the last week or two, this concerns a property in King's Road. As I stated back on the 22nd of November, it is the Council's policy to acquire properties with vacant possession when procuring accommodation for Hillingdon families. My research into the purchase of this property has confirmed that the landlord served the eviction notice on the tenant in May 2017. The first interest the Council had in the property at the potential purchase was not until January 2018. The sale was completed in May 2018, a full 12 months after the landlord served the eviction notice. I am nevertheless grateful to Councillor Duncan for raising the question, and if this doesn't address her concerns, I'm happy to discuss further. I will make a more general point. Hillingdon Council continues to successfully reduce levels of homelessness in the borough and has acquired almost 300 properties in just over a year to achieve this, including outright purchase as well as private rented accommodation for families. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Corthorne. Councillor Brightman, do you have a supplementary?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Given that it's not Hillingdon's policy or practice to acquire tenanted properties, can the Cabinet Member provide an update in respect of Barnet Council's acquisition of 50 properties in Yeading from Palace Capital and the assistance and support being given to the existing tenants by Barnet Council? Thank you.
Councillor Corthorne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Brightman. Indeed, I can. As the purchaser of the 50 properties, Barnet Council has written directly to all the affected tenants, confirming that no one will be forced out of their homes and made homeless. Barnet are organising face-to-face meetings with each tenant to agree their preferred option on a case-by-case basis. they have stated that tenants have the option to remain in their homes. Naturally, our homelessness prevention service is available to offer support and guidance to any of the residents where necessary, and a number have taken this up. As of now, Barnet Council has spoken with 24 households and have identified a total of 13 who they are offering the opportunity to remain in their home. They are in the process of contacting the remaining tenants. We understand that it is the intention of Barnet Council to acquire properties through a subsidiary company, and residents will therefore be offered assured short-hold tenancies at the same level of rent as they are currently paying. Officers, of course, are in regular dialogue with senior managers from Barnet, and I myself have met the Yeading ward councillors, and I continue to engage with them over this matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Corthorne. Go on to question 7.1. Councillor Bliss, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure it's actually that relevant anymore, seeing as Councillor Brightman has just sort of stolen my question. Shall I read it anyway? Okay, 50 families in Yeading have been given notice to vacate their long-term homes as the properties have been sold by Palace Capital to Barnet Council. Can the Cabinet member update us on the discussions between Hillingdon and Barnet Council? Some families are due to lose their homes on the 15th of February and are desperate to know where they can go for help with their housing needs.
Councillor Corthorne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll refer Councillor Bliss to my earlier answer, but I would make the point in doing so that Barnet are taking the lead on this. So whilst we are engaging with their officers, most certainly, it is Barnet that are taking the lead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bliss, do you have a supplementary?
Yes, I do. Can you tell me when Hillingdon was advised of Barnet Council's intention to buy these homes, and why there was no dialogue with residents and local councillors before the eviction notices were received?
Councillor Corthorne.
Thank you. I will simply say in response to that we were aware that the particular dwellings to which you refer were going to come up for sale. We were not attracted to that as a proposition because there were sitting tenants in place. It made no sense for us to do so. Barnet nevertheless proceeded. I can't comment on what they've done. That's very much an internal matter. I think given where we are, that we should remember that a commercial organisation could very well do this and provide no support whatsoever. I think we can all collectively agree that as a public body, a local authority should be doing rather more, and I've tried to stand out what they're doing. So I think really for me to be critical of another local authority in this circumstance isn't particularly constructive or helpful. Not least since there are other authorities that haven't exactly covered themselves in glory in this regard of all political persuasions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Corthorne. We now go to 7.2. Councillor Arnold, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Would the Leader of the Council please update Council and in due course the residents of this borough on the outcome of the request made to Back Heathrow Ltd at the Council meeting held on the 22nd of November 2018. Following a number of misleading and disingenuous statements made by the organisation Back Heathrow Ltd, the Leader of the Council requested, for the purpose of openness and transparency, that they supply the Council with details of providers of finance and support received for the last 3 financial years within 40 days. The Leader stated that Back Heathrow Ltd was not a resident-focused organisation, but was a puppet of Heathrow Airport Ltd, and that he doubted that the organisation would respond appropriately, but would instead demonstrate a complete lack of scrutiny that would go against the grain of local opinion. Is he now in a position to confirm his assessment?
Councillor Puddifoot.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Arnold, for your question. As this question indicates, Back Heathrow Ltd were asked a very simple question, but one which would require them to be open, honest and transparent. Were they simply a puppet of Heathrow Airport Ltd who provided their finance, support and direction, in which case they could not be open, honest and transparent, but would duck and dive and would avoid providing the facts requested? Or were they, as they claimed, a resident-focused organisation, albeit that they spent millions of pounds and sent out millions of items of literature covering an area with a population of 2.5 million people, and claim to have only found 100,000, less than 4% of the population that they've written to, that support an expanded Heathrow. However, then they should perhaps be open, honest and transparent. As anticipated, Mr Mayor, Back Heathrow Ltd have not supplied the information requested and are clearly just a puppet of Heathrow Airport Ltd, and they cannot be taken seriously. Whilst on my feet, and for the avoidance of doubt, and to avoid the necessity of a further FOI from Back Heathrow Ltd, let me state that we started this financial year with funding set aside to fight Heathrow expansion, totalling £331,000. Expenditure so far this year, after deducting £117,000 received from partnering boroughs, has reduced that figure to £163,000. Our current year's budget also contained an earmarked reserve of £250,000 to fund half the running costs of Uxbridge Police Station, which is no longer required as MOPAC has declined our offer of assistance. Accordingly, as indicated in the 2019 budget which came to Cabinet in December, this sum will be added to the Heathrow Expansion Fighting Fund, giving a total of £413,000 funding available at this time. Now, for the benefit of Back Heathrow Ltd, that is openness, honesty and transparency. That is also fulfilling the promise that we made to the people of the borough at the local election in May last year, that we will defend our residents and our environment against the detrimental effects of Heathrow expansion, however much it costs and for however long it takes. That's however much it costs and however long it takes, however often they write in and ask the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Puddifoot. Councillor Arnold, do you have a supplementary?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much. 7.4, Councillor Riley, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Could the Cabinet Member please let us know what the Council is doing to mark Holocaust Memorial Day, which takes place on the 27th of January?
Councillor Lewis.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And through you, may I thank Councillor Riley for his question. Holocaust Memorial Day takes place on the 27th of January every year and is a time to remember the millions of people murdered during the Holocaust under Nazi persecution and in the genocides which followed in the 20th and 21st century, with 1.7 million deaths in Cambodia between 1975 and 1979, 800,000 deaths in Rwanda over 100 days in 1994, 100,000 Bosnian Muslims and Croatians in 1995, and the systemic killing of over 300,000 Darfuri men, women and children that started in 2003 and shockingly is still going on today. The largest death toll was perpetrated by the Nazis, who systematically targeted the death of all European Jews, Roma and handicapped people, but they also imprisoned and killed ethnic Poles, Soviet citizens, Soviet prisoners of war, gay men and political opponents. The death toll in the concentration camps was over 17 million innocent souls, of which the largest group were 6 million Jews. There are two problems with numbers these large, and that's that they are so large that they're impossible to imagine, and secondly, because they are so neatly rounded up numbers that they appear to lack accuracy and wrongly, therefore subconsciously, lose a degree of credibility. The concentration camps were truly evil places where innocent men, women and children were used as slaves, tortured, medically experimented on, starved and murdered, just because of their religious beliefs, ethnicity or sexual orientation. You might ask why we should commemorate Holocausts. Well, Holocaust Memorial Day is a time when we try to learn the lessons from the past and recognise that genocide does not take place on its own. It's a steady process which begins if discrimination, racism and hatred aren't stopped or prevented. We are so lucky to live in the UK where we're not at immediate risk of genocide. However, discrimination hasn't ended. nor has the use of the language of hatred or exclusion. There is still so much to do to create a safer future, and Holocaust Memorial Day is an important way to start this process. Torn from Home is the theme for this year's Holocaust Memorial Day. Torn from Home encourages audience to reflect on how the enforced loss of a safe place to call home is part of the trauma faced by anyone experiencing persecution and genocide. Home to us means a place of safety, comfort and security. On Holocaust Memorial Day 2019, we will reflect on what happens when individuals, families and communities are driven out of or wrenched away from their homes because of persecution or the threat of genocide, alongside the continuing difficulties survivors face as they try to find and build new homes when the genocide is over. All of our libraries will be marking Holocaust Memorial Day by hosting the Torn from Home theme, and there will even be a screening of the 1997 Oscar-winning film Life is Beautiful at Botwell Green Library. We will also be hosting events around poetry and reading projects. The full itinerary is available on our website and social media, and at each of our libraries, including the mobile library. I would strongly urge all members to attend an event and tell as many residents as possible about them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lewis. Councillor Riley, do you have a supplementary? Thank you very much. Councillors, that concludes tonight's meeting. Short and sweet, thank you very much. Before you make your way downstairs, could you please give us 5 minutes so we can get derobed and ready for you? Otherwise, it's a bit awkward when you appear in there and we're sort of half dressed. Thank you very much. Meeting closed.